Hey gang! So, I wanted to make a quick video here, hopefully quick, moderately quick, walkthrough tutorial on how I went about actually trying to solve a problem of a stiff right ascension axis on the Celestron AVX Mount. And I was experiencing a lot of difficulty with this thing. I've had it for years and really only broke it out, maybe a dozen or two times, but lately I'm really trying to get back into it. I'm trying to solve my problems. I'm trying to work through the issues that I have. And one of these issues was the fact that I would load this up with my rig and my counterbalance and, undo the clutch here and it would not sink. It would be so stiff that it really wouldn't sink to the heavier side, which is, the old tried and true method for telling if you've got some rough, decent balance going. And so that's not great. And it was also creating issues where, obviously, if it's that sticky, it has can have a little trouble guiding, which is what I was inferring was going on. And let me show you what I mean. So picture time, a little Trifid Nebula action for you. This is from my backyard, Bortle 6, Arizona, East Mesa, Arizona. So this is looking south, which is helpful, but looks nice. Stars look okay, great. Yeah, here's a lagoon from the same general area, very nice. I'm pleased with what I'm starting to get now. But here's what I'm really up against, which is I've got, here's the pinwheel. But as you look at the stars, you can see that nowhere are they actually sharp. They're all blurring. And you look at that and you start to troubleshoot. And you say, okay, well, it could be wind. Absolutely. It could be poor guiding. But in this case, there wasn't much wind. My guiding was good. It was less than an arc second of, under a second, which is, very, very nice. Yeah, the other thing too is that, across multiple exposures, it would drift. So it would start out, here, and then, a few minutes later, it'd be kind of here, and then it'd be kind of over here, and then it'd be like down here. So there's clearly something going on, some kind of a drift or drag happening. And so I said, okay, well, first things first, if it's this stiff axis, I'd like to know about it, and I'd like to take that off the table as the potential problem that I've got here. So before I decided to actually send it off to Celestron for service, I thought maybe this is something simple enough that I could do myself. I went into cloudy nights, I started looking around, doing homework, and some people have been taking these apart and doing really nice upgrades and all that kind of stuff. I'm not that ambitious, but I was able to see that it wasn't outrageously complicated to get at this RA axis and noodle around a little bit. So I thought I would just show you what I did, which, spoiler alert, solved that problem for me, or so it appears. So I thought that would be useful to some of you guys to just have a nice, clear walkthrough of how to do this, because it's hardly surgery. Okay, let's begin. What do we have here? You can see I've already taken off the counterbalance rod and the knobs for the alignment peg down here, which is just so that I can manipulate this on the tabletop. If you've got a guide scope, obviously remove that and get that out of the way. Tools that we need. What are you going to need to do this? Screwdriver. I like the magnetic tip, so you can pick those screws out, which may or may not work for you here in this demonstration because it's going to make me look like a jackass. Here's some pliers that we may need. Allen key, you're going to need a small one, and hopefully you have a little set and you can just find the right size that you need. White lithium and grease, $5 at your favorite local hardware store. Good thing to have around, even though you're going to use a tiny bit of this. If they had a little tube, I would definitely have gotten that, but yeah, here we are. And then the tricky part is on that tension ring you might have just noticed, we've got these two little holes here, and that's how you actually turn this thing and loosen it and adjust that tension. That's a little tricky. If you happen to be lucky enough to have a cool thing like this, it just might work. Or it just might not. Mine doesn't. It's not quite even big enough. And so I'm going to show you how I dealt with that and mention how others have too. All right, without further ado, let's just get started. I'm going to start talking my way through it as we go here. But the quick overview is the following. We want to get this tension ring off And when that's out, under there's a Lazy Susan bearing. And how tight this is on that is what actually makes the stiffness of this thing. But you can't just go at this. And if you did, you would be really frustrated trying to pop that out because it's not gonna. What's going on here is that there are set screws in that are holding it in place around this rod. And to access that set screw, there's a hole in the side here, which means that you have to remove this plastic side panel that's got the circuit board and all that stuff in it. So once we get that out of there, then we can use our Allen key to go in that hole to then rotate until we line up with set screw number 1 and back it out. Do that not once, not twice, but thrice all the way around until then this ring is free. It's, you know, gonna be a little marred in there, but then we can actually remove it and take it out. We're gonna put some grease on there and then put it back together and then feel it out. And hopefully, kapow, we suddenly have a much looser, more fluid axis to be working with. So let's begin. You've got 1, 2, 3 obvious screws. You also have to do this one up here at the front of the thing. I'm going to lock this down and I'm going to attempt to turn this so that you can see each of these things as I do them. Ah, magnet. You might be wondering why I'm wearing gloves. It's not just to hide my horrible fingernails that I bite to the bone, but it is because we're gonna be getting greasy in just a couple of minutes, and I'm also trying not to, you know, get things too dirty and messy along the way if I can possibly avoid it. Now, I've already done this before, which is why I'm comfortable actually attempting to show it to you. And so you'll see when we get in there that there's white grease all over everything, which is what I've already done. But when you do it, it's going to be a darker grease, and you know, reports from various folks are that there's how much that is there's a big range there. Mine did not have much. Some people say they had more. Some people say they had basically none at all. Okay, so we've got that off, and here's the little hole I was referring to, and you'll see in there, maybe, that we are just looking at metal. So I'm unlocking this clutch here. I'm going to turn this until I see the set screw hole. Now, I hope you can see that. And now I'm going to take our handy Allen key here, and I'm going to do it torquey way first. And sorry, I'm hiding everything from you, aren't I? I guess it's not too hard to imagine using an Allen key to undo a set screw. So how far to back this out? I don't know. I do. If you look in there, you can actually see that the set screw can be backed out to about the surface level of that rod in there. I would recommend that, not going further, or else this thing won't be able to turn. It'll scrape up on the inside. All right, one down. Next. Here's the next one. Isn't this exciting? So that is good to go there. Oh, and I bonked over here. Why don't I run this in out of my way just a little bit. All right, where'd you go? There you are. It's a little gangly, little unwieldy. But this is the hard part as far as that goes, in my opinion. All right, the third set screw I have now loosened, and it's looking good. Okay, that means at this point we can start monkeying around with the tension rod. Okay, how about, let's see, what way is going to be fighting me the least? And what way can you actually see what's going on? How about like this? Is that all right? How does that look? Let me just check and make sure I'm not wasting all of our time here. Well, it sure would be better if we were like this, isn't it? And it would be better if we were closer. Should I do that? Maybe. Maybe I'll ruin everything. Let's find out. This is a very amateurish rig that I have here. I hope you appreciate the me being real with you here. Okay, well, you know, maybe that's better. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Anyway, you can see what's going on here. We're trying to get at this. And I'm sorry, I'm going to have to be angled because this next part's tricky. So even now we've undone these set screws, especially initially, the first time you do this, this is going to be pretty tight and you're going to have to bust it. And as you can see with this, I can't quite reach it because this is sticking out too far and getting in the way. I actually have the span to do it. I just can't get at it at the right angle. What I've seen done is a couple of Allen keys, one this way, sort of against each other. And that could be enough. You might lose an Allen key in the process. But luckily for me, I'm just doing it ghetto style here. So I just sort of sandwich these two together. One here, one here. We're going like this. And now we can apply a little force. Oh, that's better. It's better. Lock the clutch would be helpful. Okay. And it's still tough, and I think part of that is because those set screws, they're just clamping down on this threaded rod here, and so, you know, I'm maybe doing more damage than I need to be by doing this again to show it to you, so I hope you appreciate it. There we go, we're getting pretty loose now. So once you've got it pried loose, then you can kind of do whatever and get this guy out. Anyway, so the set screws are going in there. They're going into the threads, so they're, you know, crushing them a little bit, and I'm sure it's a little marred. If you had some way to, you know, tap it again to actually cut it nice and cleanly, I'm sure that would be a nice thing to do. Okay, here we are. Now, let me see if I can improve your angle here. And you see here, this is actually two pieces that have stuck together. Now here's the set screws, so you can see what's going on. 1, 2, and 3. And this is actually part of this Lazy Susan bearing. It's got kind of a top and a bottom. Oh yeah, other things that I may have failed to mention is have some paper towels handy and a nice rag to clean up with is a good idea. Oh, you know what's going on? I'm sure I'm obscuring part of the view here. Well, it's not so bad, is it? Okay. Well, let's just keep going. Maybe I can, I hope you don't mind me taking a moment to try to improve your view here just a little bit. That's nice, right? Right. Okay. Yeah, ragtime. Okay. Let's set these things aside here. Really, the best way to do this is just to dump it because it's all loose there. So we've got that, and there's even one more. I'm trying to coax it out, but ultimately I don't really need to. If you can look in there, it's just another, it's exactly identical to this. It's just sitting in the back. I've got grease all over it, and I think it's just sticking to that. You know, it's can slip and slide, but it's nice and nice and comfortable in there, and I think I'm going to leave it that way. So anyway, the point is that you'd take some of this grease, and you know, there's plenty on here. I don't think I'm going to need to demonstrate it for you, but you'd squirt a little bit out here and just get on here. You might want to rag, get your shop rag and just clean this stuff up first from the initial grease and just kind of wipe it all smooth as best you can. And the way that it was assembled was this way down with this sort of more aesthetically nice side facing toward you as you reassemble it. So the point would be to use that rag, wipe all the stuff up, and then just coat everything nicely in your white lithium grease. That goes on Then this goes on, those two pieces face each other. Obviously, again, the bottom one is stuck there. And then we've got our tension rod. And I can tell which side was facing out because it's the one with the holes. And it's the not greasy one. Okay. This part takes just a little bit of noodling to get it to sit right on there nicely. There we go. Good stuff. All right. So now we've done that. Now hopefully we have nice, you know, lubricated parts here that are going to move nice and smooth, but we have yet to do the most important part, which is to adjust the tension on this thing. Now, as you can see here, I keep getting stopped here, and it's pretty grabby, and maybe there are ways I could clean this up a little bit better. Again, I have a feeling this is the threads being kind of jacked up. So it's a little difficult to actually know when you're really hitting the bottom or not. And I find that if I back it out and kind of make a run at it, sometimes it gets a little better. Nah, it's really fighting me for you here. I mean, this could be it, actually, I guess. Maybe I'm there. It didn't take long. Yeah, see, okay. All right, that actually feels more like it now. It feels like I'm tightening down. And we can tell, because if we loosen up our axis here, yeah, I can feel it starting to get a little more stiff, but I want to make sure. This is really a bit challenging, but I think that's it. So anyway, what I did before was just sort of, you can back it up a little bit, you can try to lock it down a little bit more. I mean, just do what you want to do, and then just keep sort of checking out how it feels here. And you ideally want to get it to where it's just a little too tight for your comfort, and then back it off just as little as you need to get the kind of feel that you're trying to achieve, which is, you know, loose enough that you can do the old pendulum test, which was something I was definitely not able to do before, which is where you get your counterbalance rod back on here and put a weight on it with no scope and kind of pick it up to one side and let it go and see if it actually swings and settles. That was very refreshing to experience. Okay, you know, I gotta be honest with you. I'm tightened down here as much as it's easily letting me without forcing through. That makes me want to. My instinct is telling me I should try to push on a little bit and see. I would like to. In other words, I would like to experience what it's like to be too tight, and then back it off as I'm recommending to you. So now I'm going back to my tool here, and I'm gonna put a little more torque on it, which you can see yielding some results. Ugh, I wish I just could span across this thing. Yeah, it could be worth actually trying to find. I don't know what the hell this is, like a lock ring tool, God damn, I don't remember what it's actually called, but there is such a tool. Or perhaps if you had the 90-degree pliers at the end that kind of curve down, you know, you might be able to get that across here. So, okay, how does this feel? Ah, got it. That's just a little too stiff. Now we're talking. Let's see if I can use these again to just back it off a little bit. And I'm sorry I'm spending a lot of time with this. You know, you can always fast forward if you need to, but you know, this is the real world, and I'm trying to show you what I'm actually doing here. So it doesn't take much. Feels nice. Feels nice. I'm gonna back it off just a touch more. And this is not based on anything. I'm not an expert. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and I'm voiding my warranty here, as you would be too if you were within warranty range. So, you know, I probably should have said that right up front. But anyway, don't assume that I'm just showing you what I did again, and I want to make sure that I'm being clear about that. Anyway, feeling good. Let's lock it down. Okay, so here's my Allen key again, and now it's just obviously the reverse process to what we did before, which is to find the freaking key. How you doing? How's it going? How's your quarantine? Over there. Jeez. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna not go too tight. You know what? Since I got time to kill with you here. Uh-oh, this feels a little tight. Oh, it's because my clutch is gone. I was like, oh no, I ruined it somehow. Yeah, with tightening multiple things, and I will demonstrate this again, I suppose, on the plastic part, where you've got, you know, a number of different things coming in. I always like to just sort of get them not as tight as I want, just sort of snug, get them all to that level, and then tighten them down, just so that you're not like tightening all the way, and that kind of pushes one in some way that doesn't want to go, or like if it forced this ring to one side a little bit more. You know, I guess it happens with other types of scenarios where you you might be offsetting the position of other holes and alignments by how tight you do it. So if you try to do them all together, you'll have better luck. Okay. Everything's cool, still feels good. That's the third one if I'm not mistaken. All right, let's really tighten it down now. In fact, the video really could be over here because you've already seen what you need to see. All we're doing now is just putting it back together in the opposite of what you saw before. So we're tightening this all the way. You really don't need to do it crazy tight. Like, the ring doesn't want to move much on its own anyway. These are really just ensuring that it stays in place. So I think just a little hand tighten is enough, as if I know anything. And yes, good. All right. And I did this one, right? Yes. Okay. Okay, that's enough noodling around with that stupid Allen key into these tiny little holes. Now we're putting this guy back on. I like to do this one last. Going to, I see I've gotten grease on things. Anywho, let's see, what else is there to say? I would say that my experience since doing this has been pleasant. It has eliminated that drifting, dragging issue that I mentioned, and now I've got other issues to work through, which is specifically that part of my frame, part of my field is now blurry, and it's not consistent. So depending on where I'm looking and how I'm oriented, I have some blur in the upper right, like most of the right side, especially in the upper area, or maybe it's the lower left. Or maybe it's kind of the top. It's funky, is how I would describe it. Funky. So I'm trying to diagnose that now. But the overall blurring thing definitely seems like it got improved here. So I'm hoping that's useful to some of you folks. So, okay, here we are. We're tightened back up. And we are Dunzo. Dunzo, Washington. It's over. And that is it. And so then you can delight yourself by, you know, doing the old pendulum on here if you want, or just going out and actually balancing your scope, possibly for the first time in quite a while, like was the case for me. So there you have it, I guess. Hopefully that helps you out. And yeah,